Over the past several months, you've seen me travel in first class with every single train company in the UK. Kind of. Because today I am travelling with a different type of first class in the UK, which is what I'm going to call the seat-only service. There are 6 companies that offer first class, but with no added benefits other than a different seat in a separate area of the train. There are 6 of these in total, and in this video we're going to be trying every single one to find out if it's worth it. The first service we're trying today leaves right here from Blackfriars Bridge. We are going Thameslink.
Thameslink is operated by Govia. They run services from destinations north of London such as Luton and Cambridge through to places in the south such as Brighton.
First class accommodation is at the front of the train.
They all run through central London via the core section between St Pancras and Blackfriars and are operated exclusively using these Class 700 Desiro trains.
So the train I'm getting here is 0909 to Brighton. It's a morning train, so obviously it's busy. But it looks like it's emptying, so let's get on board.
Standard class is made up of high capacity seats with very little in the way of comfort and are often described as being like ironing boards. So I want to find out if first class is actually any better.
And right.
First class is located in its own separate compartment at the front of the train, which contains 28 seats. But how is the comfort?
It's not bad. Seats relatively comfy. In the way of facilities, you've got this lovely table. Airline style seats have flip down tables. We also have plug sockets underneath the seats. There's one per seat, which is good. Unfortunately, it's a little bit dirty down here. A little bit of rubbish, but there hasn't been a ticket inspection though, so pretty much anyone who wanted to sit in here can sit here, whether they bought a first class ticket or not. But I do actually feel like these seats are a decent upgrade from the standard class seats that you get on Thameslink.
So how much does a first class ticket set you back? If we compare prices from London to Brighton, a standard class single ticket will cost you £30.40 at peak times or £22.60 off peak. But in first class it will cost you £45.60 no matter what time of day you travel.
So is it worth upgrading to first class on Thameslink? I'm going to say no, it's absolutely not worth upgrading, and I'll tell you why. Because first class on Thameslink is only ever at the front of the train. There is another section of first class at the back of the train, which is always declassified, i.e. you just need a standard class ticket to sit there. So this section I'm in is at the front of the train, but when we pull into Brighton and this train does its return journey back to Cambridge, the section where I'm sat now is going to be declassified, and it's not going to change. It's going to look exactly the same. So if you do want to travel first class on Thameslink, don't bother paying for it. Just get on the first class carriage at the back of the train and you can sit with a table and a plug socket and do your thing. Just don't bother upgrading, it's just not worth it. So I just thought I'd come check out these standard class seats in the Thameslink. As you can see, they're very basic. There's no seat back seats or anything, no plug sockets. So yeah, first class is actually an upgrade. So
I'm going to rank all of these services just as I did for all the other train operators, and I'm going to give Thameslink a 1 out of 10. We have at least made some effort in the first class section to make it an improvement over standard, but the fact that every train always has one first class section declassified massively devalues their offering. If they didn't declassify it, maybe I would have given them a 2 out of 10 instead.
next up we have Great Northern. They run trains from here at King's Cross and also from Moorgate, but the King's Cross trains are the only ones that have first class, and they run trains up to places like Cambridge, Peterborough and Kings Lynn and lots of other smaller stops in between. They're actually a sister company of Thameslink, so they run on a lot of the same routes. So let's see how their first classes compare. I'll be taking the 957 over to Letchworth, but I don't think I need to take the entire route because I actually have seen what these first class seats are like. And spoiler alert, not that great.
This route is operated using Class 387 trains and are one of two types the Great Northern operate, the other class being Type 717s which operate to and from Moorgate, but these 387s are the only ones that they claim have first class.
see what I mean? This is what they're trying to call first class in Great Northern. Should we check it compared to standard? The only difference as far as I can see is the design of the seats. That's it. Okay, let's try to be positive. Well, firstly we have a coat hook and we've got some lights that just don't seem to be working. We have a different pattern on the seat. So an effort has been made. Some of the seats have these things on them. Some of them, not all of them. You have a plug socket, which seems to be one between two, and it looks like every seat has one of those. Your banks of two have them. You've got some luggage storage and some more overhead storage as well. But will it fit my big bag? Let's give it a go. No! You don't have the frosting on the door, but this door you do. The only reason I'm sat here right now is that I have a Rover ticket, which allows me first class on any train throughout the whole of the UK, but I would not pay specifically to sit in this seat. It's just stupid.
Wow, what would you expect from Govia? This is far from the luxury experience that the words first class should mean. I don't really think this company should be branding it as such.
How ironic, one of the best ones passing by now. Anyway, let's have a look at prices, shall we? So, London to Cambridge, that's one of the routes they do, a pretty common one. Super off-peak standard class is £21.60. And anytime one, so when it's not off-peak, is £30.50. But at all times, first class costs you £48.80. So you're paying an extra 18 over standard and another, what, 27 over off-peak to sit here in this seat rather than the exact same seat in a different part of the train. I feel that's a complete rip-off. One of two things either need to happen to make it worthwhile. Either it needs to be a different seat, like maybe a 1+2 configuration, or just get rid of it completely. Just get rid of it. You don't need it. It's just profiteering and ripping people off. That's my opinion. I don't feel like anyone should be buying first class on a Great Northern train.
For their rating, I'm going to give Great Northern a big fat 0 out of 10. There is literally no benefits to travelling in first class other than the possibility of a quieter environment, but of course even that isn't guaranteed.
Next, we're trying Southern. They run a lot of trains out of here, London and Victoria, as well as several other terminuses, and then all over the south of England. Only some of the trains have first class though. Here's a full list, blah, 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 on your screen now. These are the ones that do, and this list is the ones that don't. And you actually see there's a lot of doubling up, so if you are planning to do first with Southern, just double check that your train actually has first, because it may turn up and it doesn't, because if you know it runs on the same track, it's not the service that has it. Anyway, it's complicated. We're going to Portsmouth Harbour today. Train leaves in about 15 minutes. Let's go get on board. Okay, we are travelling from platform 17 today, which means we have to go down this little side passage. And also, this train splits halfway through, so I need to make sure I travel in the right portion.
Southern is also part of Govia, the same company who operate Thameslink and Great Northern, so I'm not holding out much hope for them. The vast majority of their services are run using Class 377 trains, and that's what I'll be travelling on today.
Okay, I need to be in the front 4 coaches of this train. This is a 12-car train, which means I need to pass the first 8. Tell you what, this must be the strangest first class seat that ever exists. How very strange. So let's have a quick look around this seat then as we're pulling into Clapham Junction. So we have a very small cabin here. We have a total of 10 seats. We've got 2 banks of 4 and this weird solo one. But the seats look identical, and I mean literally identical to standard class. I mean, look through there. The only difference is this thing at the back there. Features, we have an overhead rack. We've got some lights that work, so that's good. And then down here we got a standard plug socket and 2 USBs, and that's replicated over that side. I don't know if that is also available in standard. I might go check it out at some point in the journey. Let's just see if I can actually enjoy this by myself then, because no one else is here. Everyone else is sensible and doesn't pay for first class.
She says as someone else walks in right at that moment.
Okay, let's compare prices then. So, anytime single is £38.10, and then to upgrade into first class is £59.10. So you're paying an extra £21 to sit in this tiny little space. I don't think that's worth it, even if you look at advanced prices. So the cheapest standard advanced I saw was £7, which is actually quite cheap for a 2-hour journey. But advanced first class is £19.90, and so you're only paying an extra £13-ish. But again, is it worth it? I honestly don't think it is. So my opinion is just stick with standard and just save your money. Don't waste it on first class on southern trains. It's just, it's not worth it.
Before I give my rating, it's worth noting that although most southern services operate using the 377 trains, they also have a small fleet of 171 Turbostar trains, which have a small compartment of first class in a 2+1 configuration, although they do look fairly similar to their standard class counterparts. For this reason alone, Southern scored 0.1 out of 10. If I was basing their score purely on the class 377s, it would be another 0 for Govia. And as I leave the train at Portsmouth, you can see that the standard class seats are basically identical to the ones they've labelled as first class.
That was Southern. And welcome to Portsmouth Harbour, where it's a bit blowy. I have never been to the city before. It's pretty, actually. Look at the size of that ship thing. I have no idea what that is. I'm not here to see that, I'm here to see trains. My next journey is with South Western Railway, and they actually have upgraded their first class seats. And there's actually some tiny little benefits, which might be worth it. Train leaves in about 20 minutes or so. It's already on the platform, so let's get on board. So they only run first class trains on 9 routes between London and these 9 stations that is appearing on this side of the screen here. Every other route doesn't have first class, but these tend to be the longer routes. So. That's interesting. In case you're interested, I'm a yes.
South Western operate many different train types. Some have first class, some don't, but I'll be travelling on a class 450 today, which is going all the way to London Waterloo.
So it looks like standard class on this train is 3x2, and each set of seats has a plug, and that's it. Very high capacity for commuter lines, but here is first. So it looks like we have just 8 seats in first. Actually, quite an upgraded experience compared to standard. And it looks like they've got some wireless charging points. Very fancy. And we've got curtains. Bag fits on the overhead. First impressions, seems alright. Feels so exclusive as well, because they've also put these sort of frosting on the window, so you don't have to look at the riffraff travelling in standard class. That can't be the reason, surely. It must be the reason. It's got to be the reason. Anyway, that was difficult to get into this seat though. You had to squeeze through. You can see on the other side they've got a flip-up table on one side because they're listed as a priority seat. So that is probably to help people with reduced mobility. So you can lift that up, and then it makes it easier to slide in here. Is that what it is? That must be what it is. So in terms of facilities, underneath the table we've got 4 plug sockets, so that's 1 plug socket per seat. We also have some reading lights up here, but let's see if this wireless charger thing works. So it needs to be in the exact right spot, and it has to not be in a case, but it does work. It's a bit fiddly. I think that needs some work. I do feel like of all of the seat-only trains, this is almost certainly the best, because it feels like effort has been put into it. Like, it is completely different to standard class. I mean, to be fair, they have really downgraded standard class to like the bare minimum. And now I'm torn, because this feels like it should be what is normal. This should be the normal stuff. But because standard is what it is, maybe this is worth it? I don't know.
The train is now approaching its final stop. This is London Waterloo. Change here for London Underground services.
Well, that is first class on Southwestern. It's not bad actually. So let's have a look at prices then. An anytime single in standard class is £47.40. Its first class equivalent is £80.50 or £79 if you're travelling off peak. So that's like quite a steep jump there. But if you can find advanced tickets, the cheapest I found in standard was £9.50 and first class was £16, which isn't that much of a jump. So if you can get your advanced tickets and you really want a table to do some work, for example, yeah, I mean, it's not bad. It's not that much extra, and you know, the sort of person that would probably want to do it is probably a relatively high earner anyway.
For their rating out of 10, again, I'm really torn, but I'm going to give them a 3 out of 10. It may just be having a psychological effect on me, whereby the standard class is so bad that it makes the other option look good in comparison, even though it doesn't deserve to be. But it's worked, so it's gained a slightly higher score than it otherwise would have.
So that's been done at all 4 what I would call regular sort of seat-only first-class services in the UK, and they're all sort of commuter-based services, but there are 2 more, and they're both airport services, so you know they're going to be expensive. Our next seat-only service is the Heathrow Express, which runs fast, non-stop service from here, London Paddington, all the way to Heathrow Airport. It runs every 15 minutes, but is often regarded as the most expensive ticket that you can buy in the UK, per mile travelled anyway. A standard one-way ticket is £25. First class is £32, although they can buy advanced tickets which start at 15, although I'm pretty sure you could used to get them for a £5. I don't know when they stopped that, but they definitely don't do that anymore. So if you are heading to Heathrow from Paddington, my advice is get the Elizabeth line. It doesn't take that much longer and it's a bit cheaper. Or if you want to save even more money, get the tube. It's much cheaper, but again, it's much longer. And what's more, the all-line rover I'm using to film this is not valid on the Heathrow Express, which means I need to go and buy a separate ticket for it. Let's go waste 32 quid. So, you can buy tickets on the Heathrow Express app, which then just saves it in the app for you. But since this is the first and most likely only time I'm going to be travelling first class on Heathrow Express, I'm going to buy myself an actual physical ticket as a kind of a souvenir. So I want to buy tickets. I want a, oh god, you could buy a return ticket for 55, but first class 32. Click. It doesn't want me to buy it. There we go. Well, I suppose you could change language. I suppose that's useful for if English isn't your first language, which is quite likely if you're travelling to Heathrow. Confirm. Would like a receipt, definitely. Let's tippity tap on there. And there we go. What have I just done? So whilst you could regard Heathrow Express as a seat-only first class, you do kind of get one benefit, and that is fast-track security at Heathrow Airport. However, that would wager that the vast majority of people travelling first class on the Heathrow Express are probably travelling either first class or business anyway, so they'll have fast track included in their flight ticket. But if you are in a rush and you want to get fast track at Heathrow, I think that's really the only way you can buy it, because unlike other airports like Stansted and Luton, for example, where you can pay an extra £5–10, whatever it is, to buy fast track, they don't offer that at Heathrow. It's only for people who have flight tickets that include it, or travelling on the Heathrow Express.
One update since I filmed this, Heathrow have now introduced a purchasable fast track option. It costs £12.50 per person, so if you are taking the Heathrow Express and want fast track security, it's actually better value to buy a first class train ticket instead of buying a full price standard class ticket and fast track separately.
Some nice wide gates, which is great because most people taking Heathrow Express have a lot of luggage, so every single barrier is a wide gate. This is what a standard class seat looks like. Oh, it's actually quite padded, quite nice. You've got a little cup holder, some sockets, small overhead rack, big luggage rack there. Well, let's go check out business first. That's what they call it. Mysterious. So as you can see, you've got a massive luggage rack here again. 2x1 seating. Solo seat with a small table and a small side table. Number 4 there. Okay, so the overhead rack is not big enough for my big bag. So that's one downside. So it's telling me there's free onboard entertainment. I'm not quite sure what you're going to get on a 15-minute train journey, but let's have a look at this. So scan the QR code. So we have newspapers, magazines, games, podcasts, ebooks, children, and then that's it. Let's have a look at podcasts, because I did read on their website that says you can actually download some of their content and then presumably watch it on your flight. Okay, so I need to connect to their free Wi-Fi in order to access their content. I literally cannot get the Wi-Fi to work, so marks down for that. So now we're on the move, let's have a closer look at the seat. So we have this tray table with a dark brown colour. You have a little cup holder, and this thing pulls out to facilitate a laptop. So there's coat hooks over there, and there's coat hooks over there, but there isn't one for my seat. So even if I did want to use a coat hook, which I rarely do, and I think people in general rarely do, even if I wanted to, I couldn't do that. Okay, let's get this Wi-Fi and have a go. Ooh, I'm now online. Good, right. So you do have some free magazines here. Wanderlust. Ooh, I've never heard of that one, but that sounds cool. Except it's not loading 65 megabytes in size. Okay, go. Now the problem is, I'm spending the vast majority of this journey trying to download this. It took a long time to go onto the Wi-Fi. We're currently passing Hayes and Harwinton, which I think is the last stop if you were to get the Elizabeth line before Heathrow. And it's taken that long just to download one magazine. So
for their rating out of 10, I'm going to give Heathrow Express a 1. And that's only because of the included fast track security benefit. Without that, they'd be scoring a 0.
Here we are, Terminal 5. Is Heathrow Express worth it in first class? Well, honestly, I don't think Heathrow Express is worth it in standard class. So, first class, definitely not. Don't do that. It's just a waste of money. One other airport service that offers first class is Gatwick Express. They run trains from London Victoria down to Gatwick and then onwards to Brighton, which is where I'll be getting on here. The section between Victoria and Gatwick has different prices in the similar way to Heathrow Express does to the Elizabeth line, although the price difference isn't quite as pronounced.
Gatwick Express is also run by Govia, the same company that operate Thameslink, Great Northern and Southern, so you can already guess what's coming up. They use Class 387 trains, which are virtually identical to the Great Northern train I was on earlier.
So the Gatwick Express runs these rather bright red trains. They are 8 cars long. But let's get on board and have a look at what's going on here.
It is a Gatwick Express service and you must have the correct ticket to complete your journey on this train. Tickets for Southern or Thameslink are not valid on this service.
So it looks like the standard has 1 plug socket and 2 USB at each seat. I need ironing board style seats, same type that you get on Thameslink.
But how does first class compare? Oh dear.
Okay, let's have a game of spot the difference. As far as I can tell, the only difference between first and standard on the Gatwick Express is this little head napkin and a different design on the moquette. It's not even a moquette, on the seat cover. Let's have a look at the airline style seats. You've just got a flip down table. Over there you've got the plug socket. It's not worth the upgrade, is it? Nope, definitely not. And I've not even made a journey yet. I suppose the only potential advantage is that it's a quieter cabin, maybe because people don't want to pay it. Any other thing positive? It's got grab rails. There is a luggage rack, although I don't think it's very big for a train that is designed to get people to and from an airport. There has been a ticket check, so there's no chance of you riding in first when you don't have the correct ticket. Although I kind of feel like maybe that is more to check people who actually got a ticket valid for the Gatwick Express, because again, you need to pay extra to ride this train as opposed to the Southern trains, which I don't really understand because it's the same company.
Talking of prices, let's take a look at how it compares. If we just look at tickets between London Victoria and Gatwick Airport, because that's probably the most common route, a standard class ticket on Gatwick Express costs £23, or in first class it's £34.50. This is a fixed price no matter what time of day you travel. But with Southern, a standard class anytime ticket is £20.40 and a first class is £30.60. Also, Southern services are more frequent at 6 trains per hour compared to Gatwick Express's 2 trains per hour, and some of them are just as quick, taking 31 minutes to reach Victoria. In my opinion, there is literally no point in using Gatwick Express under any circumstances. So for their rating, I think a 0 is actually too high for them. So I'm going to give them a -1 because of their blatant price gouging aimed to rip off jet lagged tourists. In fact, even -1 is too high. They can have all the minuses, I don't care, minus infinity.
I suppose one other thing, small thing, that the Gatwick Express first class has going for it is that at least the seats line up with the windows. I'm trying to think of small positives here.
We are now approaching London Victoria, our final destination.
So there we go. That's what first class is like on the Gatwick Express. I would say it's not worth the upgrade. It's like the seats in standard are basically the same. In fact, just looking at them again now, they are basically exactly the same.
So there we go, that is every train operating company's first class products tested and ranked. Do you agree with my rankings? Now of course each one is based on a single journey I've made with them, and so your mileage may vary. But I'd love to know what you think. Leave a comment below and also don't forget to subscribe. Thanks for watching.
Cheers.
And I'll see you again soon.
It looks amazing. Oh my god, and it tastes amazing too.